At the close of day, the sunset cloaks these words in shadow play. Here and now, long and loud, my heart cries out, and the naked bone of an echo says, don't walk away. Reach out your hands, I'm just a step away. Hello and welcome to another episode of Stevie's Vinyl Cupboard. And this episode talk about Siouxsie and the Banshees, one of my all-time favourite bands, or they are now, but they didn't used to be. So again, they started off and were a little bit kind of early for me, so I had to catch up with them. So if we start off with a couple of records, I actually bought Kiss in the Dream House, and that is their fifth LP from 1982. As I say, started to grow on me big time, so much that I then bought the Siouxsie and the Banshees, the singles. So that was the singles collection. So I'd like Siouxsie and the Banshees, but I didn't really get into the first two. But one thing about Siouxsie and the Banshees is I think it's because of the consistency and the creativity that I noticed I kept coming back and back and back. And when I'm on YouTube, quite often, if I'm listening to one of their tracks, I'll just listen to another and another, and it will span all of the albums. So I thought a few sort of months ago, I thought, I have to set this to rights. So, but I didn't like the first couple of LPs, but then I've been listening to them over the last few months and sort of had a bit of a change of opinion. So I saw this was quite expensive. This is the live album, Nocturne. So this is from 1983, when Robert Smith of The Cure, does that have a track listing? Yes, it does. So that was Nocturne. I got a bit of a discount on it, but I paid through the nose with it because I just saw it and wanted it big time. So that really kind of cemented where things were going. Now, I did like Siouxsie and the Banshees' later incarnation, The Creatures. So I did have that, and then I got another one. Saw another one at the record fair, so I thought I'd have that. And then over the last few months, I did see the odd single, Staircase Mystery, and classic track, Israel. In fact, the live version of Israel of that is absolutely stunning. So, so the first two albums, The Scream, 78, Join Hands 79, and then Kaleidoscope 1980. So those first three I didn't really get into. I somehow missed buying Juju. I had the opportunity to buy it originally, but I don't think I had the money. So then bought Kiss in the Dream House and didn't buy anything since then. So a while back, a few months ago, managed to get that. That's through the Looking Glass, so that's the their kind of cover version album. That's the one with the hole in it. That was 12 quid. I think it maybe got a slight discount. And there's the track listing if you can read that. And then if you've seen the previous video at the record fair, I got a backup insert, Kiss in the Dream House. Yeah, so pretty good condition. I think that was only like £2 or £3. I can't remember. I must watch my own videos. And also in that very same, I went hunting for Siouxsie and the Banshees, so I did get the first LP. So that's November 1978. So that's the Scream. So I'm well on my way. And I did get a couple of 12 inches, which you've already seen. Lullaby, Umbrella, Candyman, and Peekaboo. That's quite recent. And then a while back I was in a record shop and had a bit of money in my pocket, so got a good deal and bought Juju, and rather rude cover, Cities in Dust 12-inch with shouldn't really put that in there, but and also treated myself to and by the Creatures with those two. So so basically the quandary with Siouxsie and the Banshees is, do I decide to buy one of each of the albums? And I literally cannot think of any reason why I shouldn't, because I like them so much. So the answer to that is an easy yes. As I say, they grew on me for quite a long time, and if you look at any of their sort of official video releases, you'll notice the videos are a lot of fun. And also, I was watching a documentary the other day. It was there was a series called Rock Family Trees on UK TV, and it's the one called Banshees and Other Creatures. So it features Siouxsie and the Banshees, Public Image, the Slits, and Adam and the Ants, or the Ants. So people that are sort of cross-pollinated, and that's absolutely hilarious. I mean, the thing I like about Siouxsie and the Banshees, I don't normally like bands where they've had huge changes of personnel, but you know, it's obvious that Siouxsie Sioux and Steven Severin were, you know, the friends that started it, and they were kind of the glue that held it together. And in that Rock Family Trees, the guitarist and the drummer, John McKay and Kenny Morris, you know, give an account of how they escaped the band and got separate trains or something, or a coach, because they were afraid Siouxsie was going to find out where they were and beat them up. So they just basically ran from a gig. And then that's where Robert Smith from The Cure steps in. But you know, no offense, but they seem to have been the only band where they've had 3 or 4 guitarists and made the absolute best of them. So then John McGeoch comes in, who's an absolutely fabulous guitarist, and just the creativity just explodes. And also with Budgie as the drummer, and I love it. I absolutely love his drumming. So you go from like 2 people who instigated the band to 3 people to sort of 4 people really playing wonderfully, and then Robert Smith, of course, adds another dimension. And then they have, was it John Valentine Carruthers and John Klein, who then carried on in their own right with their own expertise. And I seem to remember in that program as well, Siouxsie Sioux saying to John McGeoch, can you give me the sound of a horse falling off a cliff? And he was able to. Yeah. So that was quite yeah. And they're also very interesting because it's like bands that have come out of punk have become not punk necessarily, but the creativity has led them to the place that they want to be. And Siouxsie and the Banshees, I think, were literally punk for like 10 minutes, literally 10 minutes, and then their creativity took over. And they've always been a fringe kind of band, never breaking America, getting good, you know, nothing across the world. I'm just looking at their albums here. The Scream, 1978. It was number 12 in the charts, so that did well. 79, Join Hands was 13 in the charts. Kaleidoscope, which I should have bought before, number 5. Juju, Kaleidoscope was 1980. Juju, 81, number 7. Kiss in the Dream House, actually number 11 in the charts. Hyena, number 15. Tinderbox, 13. So good, consistent chart positions in the UK. And it's not until, let me just have a look in the US. No, they still don't get any decent chart position, really, ever, it seems. So if I scroll down to the singles, when they get a number 1 with Peekaboo, so was that in Batman or something? ridiculous. And then Kiss Them for me was also #1. The Killing Jar, beautiful song in 1988, #2. So they get a bit of a kind of vignette of accessibility to that big market, so to speak. But they've always been very much doing their own thing, and a kind of genuine punk ethos, I think, is like we'll do it our way. And I think they had some run-in with Polydor about cooperation. Also, you know, Siouxsie Sioux is absolutely, you know, stunning. She's like a cross between a beauty model and a tomboy. And I think back in the day it was sort of like Siouxsie Sioux or Blondie, Debbie Harry, who's the most attractive, and I'll always go for Siouxsie Sioux because I think she's just, yeah, probably a, you know, nightmare to live with. I don't know if she wants to get her way. I'm sure she'd be quite determined. So Siouxsie and the Banshees, Starter for 10, is my new playlist where I decide whether I'm going to collect all of them and have the full set, be a completist. I'm not sure a completist is the right term, but you know, I'm not too bothered about the singles. Get the singles I like, but I think the album, every album has some smashing tracks on it. And I'll put a link if I can find it to Rock Family Trees episodes because that's well worth a watch. It's a great laugh, and it actually kind of delves into the band. Will I collect all of the creatures? I think if they came my way, I would. I'm not gonna like bust a gut, but again, the creativity with them just deciding as a couple, then, well, let's just carry it on with the two of us, and then coming out with wonderfully creative stuff. So for me, yes, it's a definite yes. So thank you for listening, and I will update in this series. What I'll do, I'll update when I get the full set. I'll then do a deep dive into each album and maybe you know, top 10 rating. That's what YouTube loves to do, isn't it? All right, so Steve's Vinyl Cupboard. Take care.